Howdy, folks. Welcome to the October edition of Cattle Trails Showcase. I'm Ron Wilson, Poet Laureate. Glad to be your host. The purpose of the Cattle Trails Showcase is to continually highlight the communities, historical elements, museums, and other attractions along the historic cattle trails. And Lonnie Stephen is our showcase chair. Cattle Trails Showcase was initiated 4 years ago now by the International Chisholm Trail Association, now as a project of the Historic Cattle Trails Consortium, which seeks to promote all the historic cattle trails: Chisholm Trail, the Western Trail, also known as Great Western, the Shawnee, and the Goodnight and Loving Trail. We are 14 days away from the first ever National Cattle Trails Conference. And boy, we've been looking forward to this. And I know that our Texas hosts have been working very, very hard on the last minute details. So today we're going to get the latest from Bob Saul, who will be emceeing much of the conference in Texas. Bob, I'll turn the floor over to you. And if you'd like, I will share my screen and go to the historiccattletrails.com website.
Please do. He'll share the screen with us. Good morning, everyone. The screen is coming up. There it is. And we are not too far out from the dates. Now, this conference is being held on the same weekend as the Red Steagull Cowboy Gathering in the Stockyards here in Fort Worth. And we do have time set aside on Friday evening. We're not having any sessions on Friday evening in Cleburne, so that people can attend the, if they want to, the gathering up in the Stockyards, and then same on Saturday afternoon. But the event's going to be held at the Chisholm Trail Outdoor Museum in Cleburne, Texas, which is basically 25 minutes south of downtown Fort Worth. And the Chisholm Trail Parkway actually starts in downtown Fort Worth and goes for 25 miles straight south to Cleburne, and without a single stoplight. It is a toll road, and one of our local committee members, Steve Myers, was very instrumental in getting it named the Chisholm Trail Parkway, because it is the Chisholm Trail. And the Chisholm Trail actually, one of the major watering places for the cattle was a pond right outside the door of the museum in Cleburne. And today that's a small lake. And but the museum there is several buildings. It is an outdoor museum. We will be meeting in the old Gringo Pavilion, which is a very nice little conference space there. And then there is the primary museum building itself, which houses a huge amount of memorabilia and saddles and maps and other things collected by one of the major collectors here in Fort Worth. And I'm hoping he will get to be present with us. I'm not sure whether he will be or not because of his health issues. But you need to set aside time to be there early enough and stay late enough to tour that building along with the Native American building that is there, which has information and memorabilia from several of the tribes. There are other, we actually have a stagecoach there and other things. So it's a wonderful museum to tour. It's one of the best in Texas. And of course, Texas has a lot of things that are best, and that's one of them. So I am a seventh generation Texan from a ranching family that came to Texas south of Nacogdoches, down on the coast in 1821, before the Austin Colony. They were not a part of the Austin Colony, so I'm not a part of the original 300. But my family gathered wild longhorns down on the coast and drove them back to New Orleans to put them on ships to go around Florida to the East Coast, some of the first cattle drives out of Texas. And then they, in the 1830s, they had to move north to just north of Austin, Texas, got a land grant from Stephen F. Austin. And from there, for years, they rode the cattle trails, still did ranching there. My great-great-grandfather and great-grandfather and three great-uncles rode the Shawnee Trail once to Sedalia. And before the Civil War, they rode the Chisholm at least 3 times to Kansas. And I have an article in the magazine celebrating the West this month that is about my great-grandmother coming from Illinois, because my great-grandfather met her riding the train from Kansas to Chicago to see the Chicago stockyards. And he met her and told my great-uncle, told his brother that night when he first met her, he said, "I'm going to marry her." My great-uncle said, "Sure you are." And within literally a year and a half, he had convinced her to marry him, her father and brothers to sell the hotel in Illinois and put household goods in 4 wagons and come to Brushy Creek, Texas, just north of Austin, and they had a wedding. And that's my great-grandmother, Mary Ann Nash Saul, and she and my great-grandfather settled after the cattle drives in Granbury, Texas, just west of Fort Worth here. And my great-grandfather donated the land for the cemetery in downtown Granbury, and it's now a closed cemetery, but he and my great-grandmother buried on the 2nd row of that cemetery. And then I grew up in the panhandle of Texas on the 4th of Charles Goodnight's 5 ranches. So I've been in a ranching family. My brother still runs 1,200 head he's a Brangus breeder, still runs 1,200 head of cows, and out in the panhandle of Texas on literally what was the 4th of Charles Goodnight's 5 ranches. So, but I now live in Fort Worth. But now this conference is a dream of mine for years, because I have all that cattle trail heritage in my family. And I'm the president of the Great Western Cattle Trail Association now, which is Canada, 9 states, and 9 U.S. states, and Mexico. And we're going to have several of our people from, I'm hoping, several different states to be at this conference. So, but it does celebrate all of the 5 trails that are listed: the Shawnee, the Goodnight Loving, the Chisholm, the Great Western, the Western. We have 6 organizations who are participating. They've become a part of the historic cattle trails. And now the Shawnee Cattle Trail, Goodnight Living Cattle Trail Incorporated. They were not able to be on the video this morning or the Zoom call, because they are starting today is the Horsehead Crossing celebration down on the Pecos River. I was supposed to be down there. I was able to get one of the major drum and dance corps from the Comanche Nation down. They arrived last night into Fort Stockton. They're dancing this morning. In fact, right now they're entertaining about 700 to 800 school kids from 8 school districts from the region. And but that is the crossing, the major crossing for the Goodnight Loving Trail across the Pecos River. And then the International Chisholm Trail Association, you guys are well represented here. And then the Texas Chisholm Trail Association. And our people are out this morning, are working to try to get this conference together. So they're not able to be on the video right now. I talked to 2 of them this morning, and then the Great Western Cattle Trail Association and the Western Cattle Trail Association. So we also need to include the other earlier trails, which are out of Texas, going both east and west. And I'm in contact with some of them now to try to get them involved in the future. We're hopeful to be able to do that. But the conference itself, if we, can you go ahead and, oh, by the way, get your tickets. We only had So far, I looked this morning, only 17 people have bought tickets, but I've got a list of 34 others who need to buy tickets or who have indicated they are going to. So make sure you buy your ticket. And we're hoping to have at least 100 to 150 people. We're still not sure. We're trying to advertise it regionally right now. I had contact this morning with the people who manage the Longhorn herd in the stockyards and also drive the stagecoaches for Six Flags Over Texas and for the several of the other organizations here. And I'm hoping to have them to help us advertise it, get it out. But we need to expand our reach. And that's one of my hopes is that each one of these trail organizations will be able to expand their membership, whether or not it's paid or free or volunteer or whatever. We need to expand our memberships all the way up and down the trails, because unless we're in these towns, the Great Western Trail has 26 towns in Texas, including 4 major cities, and a large number of people. And we've been now begun a renewed program of expanding our membership. Although we have membership in 7 of the 9 states right now, we need to expand it. But anywhere the trail went through, it's a wonderful opportunity for historic tourism and cultural tourism. And it's a wonderful opportunity to promote the town. And many of the smaller towns that were started by the trails or because of the trail are today losing population because of the migration of people from rural to city. And yet now it's possible to bring them back to rural because of the internet connections and how they can work there. The trails were they were an economic enterprise. They were not a Sunday afternoon ride in the park, ride your horse in the park and have a good time. They were work, and they were an economic enterprise, and they brought a huge amount of economic revival to this nation after the Civil War, especially. And but even prior to the Civil War, the Texas Longhorns were a major source of income for people in Texas. And although during the Civil War, it got to where they were worth nothing because you couldn't market them. And many of them became wild again and were turned out, and they multiplied rapidly. And at the end of the Civil War, there was a huge population of Texas Longhorns. And they're the only breed that can walk 1,000 to 2,000 miles and gain weight in the process. And they also, as best I know, are the only breed that are, because of how long they've been in northern Mexico and South Texas with the ticks, and the ticks that bring what's called Texas fever or tick fever. They're the only breed that is inherently immune. So they can carry the tick into other places, and that's the reason Missouri and Kansas and a lot of the other places in the north locked out the Texas cattle because of the Texas fever. So, but all that's I could go on about history. Let's go on about the conference here. So we're going to start Friday morning at 8 a.m. Now, come on Thursday. Each trail organization will get a table. And the table is free to you. We're setting up a tent next door to the Old Gringo Pavilion, where we're having the conference, and the vendors will be in that tent along with the 6 tables. But you need to bring whatever you want to put on the table. If you have things to sell, you can do it there. We need to make sure you staff your table. So that during times of when people have an opportunity to go in and buy things and you give away what you need to give away. But that setup is on Thursday. Now the Chuck Wagons, we're having the Chuck Wagon breakfast and lunch both days. And it is free with your purchase of the ticket. So we're paying for that. And the chuck wagon is the one of the championship chuck wagons here in Texas. So it'll be a wonderful meal both times. We register and meet and greet, and you can tour the museum from 8 a.m. until 10 a.m. And if any of you need to have, any organization needs to have an organizational meeting, you can have it during that time. And if you'll contact us and say, we need a place to have the meeting, we will get you a place there at the museum that you can have a private small meeting and have a business meeting if that's what you need to do. And then at 10 a.m., Carrie Murdoch, Executive Director of the Chisholm Trail Museum, will welcome us. And then Ron, you're going to welcome us as the president of the Historic Cattle Trail Consortium. And then I will be the MC, and I will recognize the guests and introduce the 6 affiliated historic trail organizations. And each organization now needs to be willing and able, and I say willing because I really need your help. I need you to stand up at that time and give a 5-minute, and I'm going to limit you to 5 minutes, talk about your organization. Introduce yourselves to us. Now, I will recognize you at each session after that, but you won't have an opportunity to say anything except stand up and wave, you know. So we'll know who's there from representing each organization. And I have found out that we have some people who are members of more than one. So that's good. It'll make us look like we've got more people than are actually there. So, and then at 10:40, we'll have some question and answers at that point. But 10:40, we're starting our working session, and this is important for each of the organizations. We're all going to do it together. And and the primary statement for this conference is what is written right here: efforts of cooperation and partnership to promote the legacy and value of these historic cattle trails have been hindered by misinformation, disagreement over trail routes, and confusion over scope and modern trail names. Congressional legislation to achieve historic trail designation has been stalled for 16 years. Our purpose is to come together for the common good of all of the historic cattle trails. Now, I have been doing historical research. I have a degree from Baylor in history and radio, TV, film. And I read the other day an account of a major meeting in 1806 in Houston of the trail drivers, where they actually had a brawl over arguing about trail names and trail routes. So this is not a new thing. But there's a lot of people that disagree and say, oh, this trail wasn't there and this trail wasn't named that or wasn't called that during the trail. Well, I have news for everybody. You can have your own opinion, but history is a moving target. And we discover new things all of the time. And whatever the trail was called at the time the drover was on it, the name wasn't important to them. The destination was important and what they got paid at the end of the trail. And then how they got back home and got another 3,500 head on that same trail going to another destination. So all of that, and I'm going to be very clear on this. We need to stop our arguments and we need to come to some discussions. But some of the discussions need to be on the side. So I'm preaching a little bit here, but we're going to have state legislators, we're going to have civic leaders, and they continue to tell us that they will get behind us getting historic trail designation if we can come to some kind of an agreement that we're not going to argue and fuss and pull people apart. So I'm asking for everybody to get on the same trail here and to help us learn how to promote these trails. And we're going to ask people then for long-term goals for 2026 and beyond. So we're going to discuss it together for an hour. And we're going to talk about how to increase heritage tourism by fostering and promoting local events in trail towns, and develop relationships to provide opportunities for all entities along the trails. and increase membership in each organization. Now, some organizations have paid membership, others do not. But whether or not it's paid or free, we need more people. And there are people out there, especially young people, who are interested in the trails. But if they come to a meeting and hear the old people arguing, they're not going to come back. And we can get the young people, we can have polite discussions, and we can talk about, well, I don't think it was called this, or I don't think it was called that, but it doesn't really matter. Because if there was a trail there and cattle went up it, and they were paid at the end of the drive and brought the gold home, then that was important for feeding the families. So the long-term goals needs to increase the membership. Short-term goals, then, we need to talk about those. We need to each of us create a standalone marketing piece for the trails, which primarily means a rack card, something that can be put out for tourism. It's a standard size, and the bureaus will take it. They'll put it in the racks. Hotels take them. Now you have to be official with it, and we have to go through the channels to get them into those racks. So we need to do that together, but each one of us needs to have a rack card. And then we need to work with the state and the local tourism entities to cross-promote the trails. We're going to have some of those folks from Texas, and I'm trying to get some from Oklahoma there now. And of course, Sedalia will be there, and Baxter Springs, the Shawnee will be represented, and we need others. And then we need to work with state and local tourism entities to cross-promote the trails. And we need to feature events and attractions in travel guides and local publications. There's a major Western event being held in Waco today. And I was in contact with the stagecoaches going down this morning to be able to be on display and to take people on rides in Waco across that famous bridge where the trail went. And they're going to be down there starting at 2 o'clock this afternoon. And so we need to help. We need to know about those. We need to get a calendar together and publish it together. And then action steps. We need to preserve and promote the legacy and importance of the trails. We need to document the trail markers. The Great Western has more than 300 concrete posts out across the 9 states. Well, we're not in 2 states, is my understanding. We finished putting in the last markers in southern North Dakota 3 summers ago. We had already put in the markers in northern North Dakota and up in Canada. So we finished up northern North Dakota 3 years ago. We have other markers to go in. We do have the coordinate of where they are. And then we need to document those, where they're located, and then develop audio tours for travelers. And Steve Myers, who's on our local committee and helped develop the audio tours for the Chisholm here in Texas, is going to be with us and speak about that. And then we need to increase the awareness of the basic history of the trails. A lot of people that I talk with in Texas do not know that the trails originated in Texas or even south of here in Mexico and came all the way up through Texas, and every single major trail is a Texas trail. And a lot of people don't understand that, and they need to. So I need to get busy and help Texas understand that, and we need you from other states. And then report on legislative support for potential designation of the historic trails. Ron is going to give us that report. And then at 11:40, we're going to break for the Chuck Wagon lunch, and we'll have an hour and 40 minutes to visit together and to have lunch together. And then at 1 o'clock, we're going to welcome everybody back quickly. And that welcome's not going to take long. We're just going to say, hey, welcome back, and get down to business. And I'm going to ask people from each trail to stand and see how many are there from representing each trail. And then Sid Miller, who is our Texas Secretary of Agriculture, is going to speak about Go Texan, which is a program from the Agricultural Department. And it highlights goods and products and services out from Texas. And then Dr. Rick McCaslin is a retired history professor from North Texas. here in North Texas University. He is now the Director of Publication for Texas State Historical Association. He's going to speak and bring our overall view of the cattle kingdom sprawled across the West, the trails that linked the breeding grounds of Texas to the shipping grounds of Kansas to the grazing grounds of the northern Great Plains, drove the economic recovery of post-Civil War Texas and integration into the national economy. And then we're going to have a short break. And then Michael Martin Murphy is going to be present for both days. He is not going to sing because we're not going to pay his rather big fee to sing, and his agent will not let him sing unless he's paid the full fee. So we're not going to do that. But he does want to be present. He is interested in the trails. He's going to be present both days, is my understanding. And we're going to present him, the Academy of Western Artists is going to present him with the Lifetime Achievement Award because this commemorates the 50th anniversary of his song Wildfire, which introduced him to the nation. And then he's going to respond to that with to talk to us about what inspired him to sing cowboy music. Now, Murph is from East Dallas. He did not grow up on a ranch, but his grandfather, and I think it was his uncle, every summer he spent the summer on the ranch with them. But he's going to talk to us about what inspired him to sing cowboy music. And then Frank Sharp, who is with the official Texas Longhorn herd at Fort Griffin State Park here west of Fort Worth, will speak. And he's going to talk the Texas Longhorn from distinction to extinction. And right now we have less than 2,000 head of Longhorn cattle in the nation who still have, they've not been crossbred, and they still have the original genes of the original cattle brought by Columbus from Spain. And then that's what developed into the Longhorn breed. And the official Texas Longhorn herd is out here at Fort Griffin. I visit with them usually 3 to 4 times a year. And then Jim Hodges, who is author of the Texas Longhorns, a short essay, he's going to bring a tribute to drovers. He's going to talk about the Texas Cattle King, James Taylor White, and the pre-Civil War and the post-Civil War cattle drives, and talk about other drovers and their contribution. And then at 5 o'clock, we're going to break and have the opportunity to come to the stockyards in Fort Worth and visit the Red Stegall Cowboy Gathering. And a separate ticket is required for much of that. In your bag when you get there will be a full schedule of what you can attend in the stockyards. And then on Saturday morning, we start at 8 a.m., be there early, have the chuck wagon breakfast. We'll have an hour to eat breakfast and visit together. And we need to get to know one another. And then Carrie and Ron and I will welcome everybody back for about 3 minutes, I hope. And that's all the time we're going to take. And then we're going to have greetings from the civic leaders. Tracy Thomas from the Cleburne Business Bureau is going to be there. Blake Jones, who is the mayor pro tem of Cleburne. And then Roger Williams is going to do a video. He may be able to be in attendance. We're not sure yet. We have another U.S. congressman who may also be able to be in attendance. We're working on that right now. And then Helen Kerwin, our Texas state representative for the Cleburne area, will be there. And then Stephen Walker, who is retired from TxDOT, the Texas Department of Transportation, is going to present about the 2014 Texas Chisholm Trail Marker Restoration Project along the highways in Texas. And then Steve Myers is going to talk about the Trail Drivers of Texas and Peter Preston Ackley and the 1930s and the marking of the trails then. And then Brad Patterson is going to, who is director of the Division of Community Heritage, is going to speak about Texas historic tourism. And hopefully then some people from other states will be able to share with us in a question and answer story, what they are doing about tourism. Tourism is kind of the key now to the trails. The trails are no longer active, but tourism is a good way, and the museums along the trails. And I know that you folks from Wichita, especially Nancy and Mary Lou, and the rest of you will be interested in, and I hope you'll be able to say some things about tourism and your museum. And then Bill Caruth, the third. Bill is a descendant of one of the major pioneer families in Dallas. They ended up owning a huge amount of land in North Dallas, and were major donors and helped get SMU started, along with several other of the major universities and major educational institutions. And they give major money in Texas every year. And so Bill is going to talk, because they gave the land for that Shawnee Trail Park. And so he's going to talk about those sculptures in that park over there. And then Glenn Murray, who is a horse breeder in PRCA. Glenn is a rodeo announcer, but also is involved in quarter horses. And he now ranches out in Comanche and in Nebraska. But his great grandfather, Charles Alonzo Kennedy, rode the trails starting at age 17 and rode most of the trails. And I talked with Glenn this week, and they think they've now found documentation out of a journal that they knew he'd ridden all the trails, except they didn't have documentation that he had ridden the Goodnight Loving Trail, but now they think he might have. So they're trying to take that and look at the historical accuracy of the journal that they found in a museum, and trying to match it up. And then Jerry Baird, who is a world champion chuck wagon cook and a rancher, and has worked on many of the big ranches, and has managed many of the big ranches, has a degree in ranch management, is going to talk to us about cooking for some of the big ranches, but also ranching and today's cattle industry. So we're going to end now with current. We started with historical. We're going to come all the way down to now. And of course, as of today, cattle prices are still up, and the cattle industry is kind of on edge with what's going to happen next, and people are wondering, do I increase my herd? Do I not increase my herd? My brothers all, how much more land does he lease now to run how many more head? and what happens if the bottom falls out of the prices? So, that's always, ranching is always that. So, so that's the schedule. Questions?
Ron and Bob, can I take just one moment here?
Sure.
You said you see somebody sitting beside me when we talk about the Chisholm Trail. This is Patrick Murphy. He is the great grandson of Jesse Chisholm, and he is watching today.
Great. All right. And your name again?
Patrick Murphy. I'm the 3 times great grandson of Jesse Chisholm.
Okay, Patrick, I would love to have your email address and get some information from you. I published the Celebrating the West magazine, and I'd love to have an article in there by you or about your family.
That would be wonderful. I've got I'll write it down for Mary Lou and have her pass it along to you. I would actually love to hang out with you guys for the rest of this, but I actually have a meeting at 11. Mary Lou insisted that I come and sit and do this, and I love Mary Lou. She has been a tremendous force in my life, and so we'll do what we need to make it happen. I really like the idea of you guys coming up with ideas for promoting. I happen to be a guy whose profession is marketing and sales, so
we need to talk to you.
and I would love to help you guys out any way that I can.
Okay.
Thank you. Good job, Mary Lou.
I'll write this down.
Any other comments or questions? Unmute yourself if if you have something to say or ask.
Bob, the discussion on Friday morning,
Yes,
you want us to distribute ourselves across the room, right? I mean, this is not for the Shawnee Trail folks to meet in one corner and the
that's right.
Chisholm in that other corner.
That's
Okay.
correct. We want everybody scattered out, but together. So we're going to break up every once in a while. We're going to have a short discussion in groups of 3 or 4. Then I'm going to ask for that group of 3 or 4 to have someone to report to the group briefly after that discussion. Some of it's going to be the large group. So we'll do small group, large group, small group, large group. Give everybody a chance to say something, say what they want to say. You know, a lot of people won't talk to a large group. They only talk to the person sitting next to them. And a lot of people don't do that. They want to stand up and take the microphone. So we're going to give everybody the chance to do both. And but it is going to be a working session. We're going to write things down. We're going to try to come out of it with, okay, here's what could be done. Here's what has been done. Here's what works that we found out. Here's what didn't work. And we're going to try to contribute, you know, bring together all of the ideas that we could possibly have. And then also, I hope come out of this with a framework of a team that then can begin to email one another and to discuss and say, well, what about this? And I've had this idea. Could you help me with someone who might help me get that done? Do you know of anybody in Cheyenne, Wyoming that might be a part of this, or somebody in Denver, you know? And I mean, I was in Denver several years ago, and I found most of the people at a history conference didn't even know that the Goodnight Loving Trail came through Denver. That was, I mean, I was shocked that they didn't know that. And it went on further north, and they had no idea. So,
And the purpose of that discussion and really the conference is going forward. You know, what do we do going forward? We're not looking back. We're not going to argue about X, Y, and Z. From here we are today, how do we go forward?
That's right. And how do we get people involved?
Any other comments or questions?
I know you said that you didn't have that many people had signed up, but this is Nancy Lawrence, by the way. If you, I need, Ron, if you want to send me something else, I can get that back out maybe next week. I've already sent something this week, so maybe I can send another reminder next week, like before the deadline, before it goes, the price goes up.
At Dennis's urging, we drafted something that Nancy sent last night. You know, urging people to sign up. Is October 17, October 15 working deadline, or?
I think it's the 15th. It's on the website here, but if you click over, Ron, if you click over to the, I can do that quickly.
Well, I did send something out last night, so hopefully that'll nip some people.
See, it says October 17. I thought the 15th was.
I think we went ahead and set it to the 17th.
Okay.
What the 17th is, that's the absolute last date that we can tell the food, the chuck wagon people. We're going to give them a number on the 15th, but then we're going to finalize it on the 17th because they have to purchase food.
Yeah.
This is Bruce Shackelford. I have a question. Is anyone showing up from any federal agency?
From the federal agencies, we have we're trying to get one of our state representatives, but no, the Park Service. You mean for the Park Service?
Any of that crowd? Yes.
No, they're not attending. We reached out to some of them. What they're waiting, my understanding is they're waiting on us, or what they're literally waiting on the legislation. So they're not attending this kind of a thing. We've talked with several of them, but they're not attending these kinds of meetings until the legislators move and move it forward in the Congress.
Well, when they were, and I was real involved with all of this and helped the state develop the Chisholm Trail, Heritage Trail, and all that. They had already done very scholarly research reports on what they were willing to name the trails. And the problem was all of us out here in our disparate positions trying to agree.
Right.
And they were sending representatives, and I think they just got tired and backed out of it. And they're waiting for us to agree with them. And you know, it's all ready to go. The packages are there. It's been sitting in Washington for a long time, but there's just been this constant, disagreement by all of us out here living in the places. And I think if that could be resolved, which seems like what you're trying to push forward, it would have an instant effect on the decisions being made. I mean, it would happen. It's all ready to go. It was 10 years ago. And I think it could move forward very quickly.
That's one element of this. Steve has been in contact with a Texas congressman who has an interest in carrying this forward. And we're still keeping an eye on that. But my bottom line is it's up to us. We're going to have to work at the grassroots level to build that support, to promote the history of the trails. I'm not going to wait on the federal government to do it for me. We're going to have to take up this mantle and work toward that, as well as promote what we can locally. But you're absolutely right, Bruce. Other comments or questions? Well, folks, buy your tickets, get online, tell your neighbors. We look forward to traveling to Cleburne. Really appreciate Bob and Carrie and Steve. My gosh, they've done a lot of work on this. And a round of applause for Bob and all his work. I'm trying to do a virtual round of applause. Appreciate it, Bob. Lonnie Steben is our showcase chair. And Lonnie, you want to unmute and say a word about what's on tap for our next Cattle Trails showcase?
Well, I'm going to have to just put it right back to you, Ron, because you lined it up. So I appreciate everybody that gives me suggestions. Tom Hawk sent me a real good suggestion I'm trying to work on for January, February. And seeing Jeff's going to get a call from me, an idea I've got about a December presentation. So if Jeff would oblige us with his cowboy singing, we might see if we could have a special Christmas December program. But not to put any pressure on you, Jeff, but we'll visit about it and see what you think about it.
Tune up your guitar, Jeff. Tom Clavin is, as Lonnie said, I was in touch with author Tom Clavin. He is a New York Times best-selling author, has written books such as has written books about Dodge City, about Wild Bill Hickok, several about the West, and other kinds of books as well. And he will join us after the conference on Friday, November 14, will be our next Cattle Trails showcase. So we encourage you to join us for that. There's nothing further. We just hope to see many of you as we can in Cleburne. Until next time, this is Ron Wilson, Poet Laureate, saying thanks for taking time to join us in this place, and come on back next month for our Cattle Trails showcase. Happy trails, everyone.
Thank you all.